Hi. Okay, quick one on doing details before or after some form of assembly with a specific couple of items I want to show you. Okay, so remember I was speaking about the exhaust tubes on the F4 and I said I was going to cut them out. So I did. And now that makes life very, very easy for me, painting, dry brushing on those bits, and easy for me to paint the inside of that because the airflow is just going to go right through. Now that was quite thick. Whoops. Check the plastic thickness there. That is very, very thick compared to that part of it. Really thick, unnecessarily thick. So you can actually see that there. But it doesn't matter because when you put it back in, the plastic thickness won't be visible. Now I just wanted to say something because last time I said, you know, it won't matter if you've now lost a little bit of thickness due to your cut. If I've lost a millimeter, and in hindsight I gave that a bit of extra thought and I thought, you know that the position of this thing, of that piece, in relation to there is completely wrong anyway. They've just molded that to make this piece a reasonable size length. That is absolutely not correct. It's probably more correct to be like about there. So my point with that is don't just judge that your modification of something is going to do harm when in fact you're probably putting yourself in a position to do way better. Which means if you wanted to, you could lengthen that tube, and even that detail isn't exactly correct. If you really want, if you were doing one of those models which is, you know, you wanted to really put in that bit of extra effort, well, now you could actually scratch build something or 3D print something which is quite a lot nicer than that. I wouldn't do that because that's deep down in an exhaust tube, but, you know, sometimes there are models where it only matters to you that you did it correctly. Okay, so I was working on this shooting star, the little Airfix shooting star, and I was so tempted to glue the wing halves together. But the way Airfix have done it is half of the undercarriage bay is on there and the other half is in there. So even if I paint this before gluing the halves together, I've still got that. And I don't really like doing that because unless you mask it, you get overspray, and that overspray may well be visible on your final paint work, depending on how glossy or how fine you're doing your paint work. In this case, it's no big deal to mask that, which I'm busy with, so no hassle there. But just better to have done that first. It does sort of, you know, I just love to get airframe parts going together because I love airframe progress. But anyway, so I need to spray that and do a little bit of dry brush detailing. It's not a bad bit of detail for a fairly simple kit. And while I was preparing that, now you see on this kit, because it has got thin wings, you see the amount of surface area that was touching. Very, very wide surface area there and a lot of surface area there. And then I stumbled onto the fact, you see my sanding marks there and my scratching marks with a knife to get the ejector pin marks off. And on there, so they were raised enough to be annoying in that you could glue the wing, but you just wouldn't get a nice flush fit. And those ejector pin marks, I bet you would have caught 90% of you know young modelers, and then you just don't get as nice a finish. These were raised, so you get ejector pin results where the ejector pin left a depression or a raise. On all of these they were a slight raise, I would say 1/5 of a millimeter, 1/10 of a millimeter. So I scratched that off with my curved blade. Not difficult at all, but what was it, 1, 2, 3, I think 3 on there and 1 on there. You can actually see, can you, that one there? Yeah, you can just make it out there. But that one doesn't need to be done because it's within the hollow. And I often tempt myself to just glue it and deal with things later. Make progress now, solve problems later. And often all you're doing is multiplying the problem by 3 later. And this is a clear case of that. So easy to just paint that and brush it and then mask it and get it ready for gluing. And at the same time, I must just do the undercarriage doors. So yeah, simple little thing, but I thought it was worth mentioning. Oh, and this, so this one, I occasionally like to do them to actually mount on the stand. So I've got this to the point, I needed to do a fair bit of filing on there. Don't be scared to file that rather than make your hole bigger there. Try and keep your hole as decent as possible. So now it's close to going in, but I have had cases where you push it too hard and it just breaks the end off that thing. So I just need to work it a little bit more, and then I think this will look really, really nice. Sometimes I think an Airfix model just looks great on the stand. And to be honest, I could have pondered doing undercarriage up on this, but I'll do it down and I'll still put it on the stand. You know, I don't know if I've mentioned that the clear plastic, which is the same obviously for the canopies, it's all the same molding type, is a lot harder than your colored styrene plastic. I'm not exactly sure why. I think I did read it up at a stage, but I can't remember now. And that does make working of canopy pieces and the propagation of cracks into canopies so much more difficult than into the nicer soft plastic of the colored pieces. I decided to open that one. Now, I said I was going to do that on a video, and I will lay the parts out on a video, possibly tomorrow, maybe even tonight. This one was a little bit damaged on the one side. I decided to cut it open there rather than rip the whole thing off. I took the parts out and just checked if we have everything. And I decided to do this one because I think it's going to be an easier build than the biplanes, at least no rigging and that. So this will be the first one that I build out of these bubble packs. And I'll do a nice build, but a quickish build. And I will give updates on that. I was just noting that they punched the holes right through the instructions, which they always do. So there's a couple of breakages though. One of the breakages looks like when they actually stamped the pressed the clear part and glued it down. And I'm impressed at how much they actually managed to squeeze in there, because this is quite a bit of sprue to get in for this kit, more than your average aeroplane by a long shot. So I think I'll bring that through and do an initial look, or tonight or tomorrow. And my focus, I mean, the gun isn't difficult. Actually, to be honest, the gun is the really easy part, the artillery piece there, those bottom 4 pictures. So I was going to say I want to focus on the Matador, but there's no point not focusing on the gun because the gun is so easy in this case. I'd like to find myself a nice picture of that. Airfix artwork often gives you a very nice feeling to get into the model, as opposed to many other box arts. But in this case, I'd like something a little bit more exciting than that one. Okay, so that was just a quick one. There will be more coming soon. Happy modeling.